everyone, I'm Becky.
And I'm Sarah.
And we're doing Bickering Book Reviews. Today we're talking about All the Feels by Olivia Dade, which is the sequel to Spoiler Alert. I got this book off of Edelweiss.
I got it off NetGalley.
So for anybody who read Spoiler Alert, this story was kind of in that book. And that book was about Marcus. And this book is about Marcus's best friend and co-star on Gods of the Gate, Alex. And Alex he's got really bad ADHD and he's very impulsive. That's the word we'll go with.
Like it's diagnosed. Like he had ADHD as an adult.
Right.
Like this is who he is once he's grown up.
Right. And like they do talk, like he's still on medication. He still sees a counselor. And
yeah, so it's not like one of those, oh, he has ADHD.
Right. No. Well, in the first book, Marcus had dyslexia and it was diagnosed and he was working through the steps of trying to like figure out coping mechanisms. So Alex is very impulsive and they're filming the show in Spain and he hits somebody in a bar. And it gets reported in the press that he had this like big fight. And so the show's producers hire him basically a babysitter named Lauren, who was a ER therapist. And she is plus sized and they talk. She looks like a bird. They keep saying she looks like a bird. Like they talk about a broken nose, and I didn't get that because they talk about her broken nose and that her nose had been broken in 2 places and she never got it fixed. I'm like, how can she breathe?
But she worked in an ER. Like she obviously would have good medical. Like I would think that she would have good medical.
Right,
like,
and when it's broken, they can set it right. Like they can fix it. My sister's nose was broken in 2 places when we were kids. And like she got it fixed as soon as she could because she couldn't breathe. But anyway, so Lauren is hired to basically follow Alex around and be like, okay, we got to stay within what's like your contract. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this. And she has to live with him. And Alex is like drawn to her because there's something about it. Like he kind of likes the arguing with her and he kind of likes having somebody put him in his place. And then as Lauren spends time with him, she realizes that Alex is actually kind of sweet and they develop feelings for each other and there's like a little bit of a romance.
Talking about it just makes me want to reread the book. Like I enjoyed this book. I really did. I know that you weren't like all in, but like I really enjoyed this book.
So I did like the book. And so that's where the thing, I didn't love Alex as much as I liked Marcus. But I
loved Alex.
I did appreciate Alex.
He was so funny and fun, and I loved how he played off of Lauren and how she was like a brick wall, stoic stone face, and he's like trying to like push at her and poke her, and it was just funny.
So one of my problems with the book is like I was thinking about like before, like an hour ago before we got on the call, I was like, well, what do I want to say about this book? I couldn't remember her name. I couldn't remember anything about her. And I feel like Alex was so big that Lauren wasn't developed all that well.
I couldn't remember her name, but I could remember her. Like I could remember, but I guess maybe I'm remembering her in relation to Alex. And so that does speak to the fact that she wasn't as developed.
That's how I finally remembered her name was I remembered what he called her. I didn't remember her. I remembered him. And I know like in rom-coms you have that, like the one character is always like so much bigger than the other one and the other one's just kind of like the straight person. But I mean, I like a little bit more. I also realized like,
I don't know. I like her, but she did have a good background, like working in emergency medicine and getting to the point where like she just got burnt out. Like I get that. And I think I like how the author deals with like real issues in ways that are real. Like as far as you don't just lose your ADHD when you grow up. You don't just, constantly get beaten down by a system that you work at and like it's okay forever. Like that you can kind of have this crisis of what am I doing with my life and where am I going to go with it? Like I don't know.
Well, I also like she has smart female characters that are like believable. like, it's not like everybody's not like they're a rocket scientist or or like the CEO of this big company. Like Lauren had her master's degree in psychology and she was a counselor. Right. Like that is a believable job for a real person. I realized like the reason her books feel kind of slow to me, and we talked about this a little, is I feel like there are two different kinds of romances. There's like the slow burn where it takes forever for them to get together, and then they're together for a little bit and there's an issue and then it's resolved really quick. And then there's the ones where like they get together a little earlier and then there's like happiness and conflict and then they get back together. And I prefer the like when they get together earlier and you get to see more of their relationship before things fall apart. And I feel like with Olivia Dade, she does that slow burn.
See, and I like Olivia Dade's slow burn. I don't necessarily know if I like it in all aspects, but I like hers because it's fun. She makes it funny. She makes it fun. I love kind of seeing that relationship develop and like kind of how they play off of each other.
Yeah, and like I said, I enjoyed it. It just...
I don't know. Now I want to reread it.
It was challenging for me. See, in reading this, I don't have a desire to reread it, but I kind of want to revisit the first book.
I want to revisit them both.
Oh and I guess there's going to be a third book. I have no idea who about.
So, like, technically, you don't have to read spoiler alert to read this. Like, it will spoiler alert, but you could get by without it.
Yeah, but will it spoiler alert? Because don't you know just by reading the back of the book what's going to happen?
That's true.
Like I that's one of the reasons I like to pick up a romance book every so often, because like there's no surprise, there's no heavy lifting. It's just it's dessert.
Fun. Yeah.
Right. We should rate it. Our rating system starts at the top with 5 unicorns and we go down to 2 unicorns. If we don't like it, it's a horse.
I feel like I'm caught between giving it a 5 and a 4, and I think it's not perfection. It's not. So it's gonna get a 4. It gets a 4 because I really enjoyed it. I want to go back and reread it. Yeah. So I'm giving it a 4.
So for me, I'm like, it's like a solid 3.5, but we don't do halves, and I think it's better than a 3. So I'm going to go with a 4.
All right. Cool.
So, because I think it's better than the average. And I don't even know if the book is
better than the average
book. I think Alex is better than the average romance character.
Yeah.
So that is where we are on all the
fields. And I feel like it's like with Alex though, like bringing that up, like he's better than the average because I feel like in most rom-coms there's less development of the male character than there is of the female character, and so like this kind of turns that on its head, which is interesting.
Well, and he grows. Like he's not like an alpha male at the beginning of the book, and then he's an alpha male at the end of the book who just also like kind of likes a girl now. But no, he grows and he goes through emotional development and don't get me wrong, I have read, like, because my brain has been so fried because of other stuff. In the last, like, month, I've listened to, like, 3 different romance audiobooks, and, like, all of them had different, like, alpha males, and I was like, that works. The new Emma Chase book's really good. Anyway, so that is where we are on all the feels, and we'll see you around.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.